Okay, so before we go into actually designing a page, I'm going to show you two important things you should know while learning InDesign, which is how to zoom in and zoom out and how to select multiple frames and objects. So to zoom in, all you have to do is press Control and the plus key. Like as you see in the bottom left corner of the screen, you're going to see plus equal to, because the plus and the equal to sign are the same on my keyboard, so that's why it's saying control plus equal to sign. So that's how I zoom in, and to zoom out all you have to do is press control and the minus sign. So that's how you zoom in and out on any Adobe software. Now, in order to select multiple objects and frames, what you have to do is select one and hold shift and select the other. So now both of these are selected. Uh, I'll also be showing you how to use the drag and drop style, which is making a square by just clicking and dragging and multiple things get selected. But if you want to select things which are slightly apart, using the shift key is the best way to do that. So now that you know most things, we're gonna go ahead and try creating this layout at the end of this video. Hope you enjoy. So initially when you start out, I don't expect you to like come up with a design right off the top of your head. So it's okay to go on Google and gather some inspiration. So maybe you can write something like niche magazine design, and you can go ahead and click anything you like, and if you see a page you really start liking, why don't you go ahead and try designing that before making your own design. So I like this page, and why don't we make something like it. Now straight out of the bat, you would have noticed that the main appeal of this page is its clever theme work, which is the colors they've used, and obviously the font. I mean, this piece right over here is what makes this page look really good. So you want to identify the best parts of your page and work towards it, but regardless of what the page is, you really want good fonts. So over here there's some really good font work. So what I would recommend is to go ahead on Google Fonts or any other website you like. It's either Google Fonts or 1001 Fonts. Those are the two big websites. I'll be showing you how to work with both of those. So in this article we see that it's a serif font. So a serif font basically means that there is there is a little bit of a completion towards the end of each letters, and a sans serif is something like this, something like Roboto, where there is no dashes and lines at the end of letters, so it looks more modern, if you will. So this is clearly a serif font, so we would want to like filter our search by unchecking all other types of fonts. So now there we go, we have only serif fonts, and we just have to pick the one we like, and sometimes it's really tough. But I think source serif looks really good, and yeah, but I also like crimson text. So why don't we go ahead and have a look at crimson text. Now that you've selected a font, you think it will kind of work for this part, if it's in all caps or something of the sort, you want to go ahead and download it. Now once you download it, you will get a WinRAR file. So once you download it, what I would recommend you do is first take the zip file and cut it and put it into the folder you had created. So remember, we had created our folder on our desktop or wherever, and we had created a separate folder inside it called fonts. So I want to paste over here, and I will tell you why. Because when you're working with multiple fonts, you will want to do this and click the font type you want. Now usually you would want to download everything, but let's say I'm working with regular only for now, so you go ahead and double click regular, which is this one, and you hit install. So once you hit install, it will automatically start reflecting in all of your softwares that use fonts, etc. So if we go ahead and InDesign, let's say we create a frame in which we want to put the title Christmas. Let's write Christmas. There we go. Come down and select your font, It was crimson text. So let's make it around 48. So that's big enough to see. There we go. And let's center it. So to center it, again, you need to be selected on the character formatting controls, which is the letter A, and press align center. Yeah, so that's a start. Now what you would want to do is you want to keep selecting the character formatting tool on the upper tab and hit all caps option. So when you get all caps, you get a sense of how it looks. Um, when it's in all caps, and that's how it looks. But if you notice over here, the first letter is slightly big. The letter M is bigger than EMO, I and R. I like this a lot better than just plain like caps all over, so I would want this the rest of it to be a little smaller. Now we have a pre-selected option over here, which is the small caps. So why don't we go ahead and press that, and there we go. That's how you can do it automatically. But if you don't like what uh, you don't like the size difference, you would want to select the part you're not happy with and move it very slightly. So if we increase it a little, so I think I'm happy with 52, so I'm gonna click outside. And yeah, so this gives a little bit of a better feel. That's my opinion. Again, it depends on designer to designer, but I've taught you how to do it. So now that we're happy, you will want to notice the other effects it's playing out in this. Now if you look closely, there's actually a shadow behind memoir, and like I showed you in the title part, we know how to add shadows to our InDesign file. So we will go ahead and add a shadow, but before that, um, I would just like to say that adding a shadow to a black text color is actually, it looks a little bit odd to me at least. So why don't we go ahead and see how that looks. So we press V, because remember, when you add effects, you're gonna have to select the frame, not the text. So now that we've selected the frame, we right click and click effects and add a drop shadow. So now again, we want to hit preview so that we know how it looks and the distance. Okay, so that's how it looks. Now, if you notice, I feel that this is a little bit too intense, like it's too dark. And if you feel the same, or if you want to like mellow the the intensity down a little, this is what I do with most of my text. I never put a black font color. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and change the jet black to a slightly more mellow color. So I'm gonna hit F5 to show my toolbox, and I'm gonna copy black. So to do that, I'm just gonna right click and click duplicate swatch. So now that I've done that, I double click it, and yeah, so once you double click the title, you get this again. So I'm gonna rename it to title color. So I think I do about 91 or 92, so something around that range. And then you're gonna want to control A once you double click inside the frame and click the title color. So if you see now, it's not jet black exactly, so it feels a little less intense to me. I'm happy with that. So that's the first line on a page. So let's go ahead and fill the rest of it up. Now over here we see that there's a different font, or a similar font. It's still a serif, but it's slightly different. There's no drop shadow over here, and yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and create this again. So we're gonna hit the frame tool, which is F. That's over here. So we create the frame in which we're going to add the rest of the image. We don't have any tank killers here at Cottons, but so I think we're going to add Christmas, maybe an at, and maybe like at Cottons, or maybe at a lunch home, or an old age home like we do for the fellowship lunch or something. So that's the current font. And for this font, for this piece of text, I like the font, um It's very difficult to pronounce. I think it's Nyon something. So that's exactly why we create a font folder. Now, let's say you're on Google Fonts and you're browsing through fonts and you download a lot of them. um, it's sometimes difficult to remember the names of the fonts. For example, Slabo is also really good. That's exactly why we create a different folder so that we can reference and say, oh, I've downloaded that font. See, that's the name. It's Nanum Myongjo. So it's a difficult name to pronounce and an even more difficult name to remember if you're working like this. So that's how our text looks, and I'm going to increase the size. That's how this looks for now. So again, I like it in this color, so maybe we can increase this color a little bit for this one. So now remember that once you change, if you want to change the color for this and you go in this settings and change this accordingly, you're gonna change the color in this font as well, because they're both linked to the same thing. So right now I think I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna let it be. um, but do remember that in the future, if we go back to a design we're taking inspiration from, the rest of it is it's like a slant font. It's like handwriting almost, but not quite. So we're gonna have to explore in that department as well. So let's say so we're gonna add off or at an old age home over here. So we're gonna change it to a font where which is like kind of like handwriting-ish. So to do that, to see your own to see whatever you have in your own InDesign, you're gonna have want to click filters, and you're gonna want to select any one of these. So if you want to filter, probably that's like calligraphic or something, so that's what you want to select. And yeah, so that's, we've selected an Edwardian script. We're happy with that. We'll increase the font size a little bit. And so when that happens, when everything disappears, it just means that your frame isn't large enough. We're gonna want to click or find a page theme color. Now in this they've used yellow, and the same yellow is carried on to the next page where the image is. So um, it's a cool setup, right? And we're gonna want to do the same thing. Now I personally prefer pastel colors for theme pages. So pastel colors are colors which are kind of like soft. Let's go with pink, right? Because that's a nice pastel color and I quite like it. So if you want this color, right, there's a way to do it on InDesign. You might know that colors usually come in a coded format, or that's how like websites or anything on the internet, like this color you're seeing is coded by something known as a hexadecimal coder. I'll explain how it goes in InDesign in just a bit, but for now you want the hexadecimal code for pink or any other color you like. So I'm gonna write pink pastel. So it's gonna give you, so you're gonna want to go ahead and click whatever, maybe color hexa is a good site to take it from. This is the hexadecimal code, the one I've highlighted for this particular color. So um now you're gonna want to go back to your swatches, click add a new swatch, and like I said, it just copies it. And now click RGB, and down over here you see that there is a hashtag and there's the rest of the code. Now this is exactly where the hexadecimal code goes. As you can see, as soon as I just pasted it, the color came up. So you can adjust it a little bit, change at and to this color, right? So that it has a pink vibe, or whatever, a pink feel to the page. So over here, if you notice that the handwriting part is pretty large, right? So we're going to take it and try replicating it. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. You can try making it larger. Let's see if that really works. um Again, see, it's all of it is just trial and error. So now we're gonna go ahead and write the rest of the image, which is So I've just copy pasted that text box, and now we're gonna write buy, right? Because there was a buy in over here. So that's what we're gonna do. And in InDesign you get these cool lines which help you center things. So once you see that pink line, it means that it's in the center. Yeah, now you want to add in the text box which has the name of the author. So again, if we're taking this over here, again hit the frame tool, which is F, center that. And now I've selected a font which I also really like. Again, if you forget the name, go to your font folder. I think it's Chelsea Market, so let's go ahead and select Chelsea Market. Now when remember that when you add a filter and then you start searching, it's gonna show no matches found. That's probably because you've selected something. So you want to deselect it, and then you want to search for it. See, it shows up. So we have Chelsea Market. That's how this part of the page looks. And honestly looks pretty good for what we've created in just this amount of time. And now we're gonna go ahead and add in our text over here. So right now I'm just gonna show you how you can get this really large T and with that color, and I'm just gonna fill it with gibberish because I don't really have anything. Yeah, so again you use your frame tool, so you go hit F. So to add text you just add T, and for now I'm just gonna write the. And if you remember from our adding text lesson, this plus sign means that we're gonna go ahead and extend it on the next page. Yeah. Okay, so that looks like decent amount of an average amount of text we add in our articles. So now to add the very large T you see over here, it's actually pretty simple. What I used to do earlier is to I made a smaller frame using the frame tool, something like that, and fill it with a T or whatever of that size, and move this frame and place it over here so that it looks like it's larger. But turns out that InDesign has that feature itself. So you just select the text box you're working with, and you want to go ahead and double click so that you're selected in the text part. And remember, like we've always been working with the character formatting, now we're going to go ahead and use the paragraph formatting. And over here you're going to want to go ahead and search for this part, which is the drop cap number of lines. Now you want to go ahead and increase this number, and as you see that there's this large T coming up over here. Now for example, if I add text in different paragraphs, and if you add the setting to like the entire piece of text, sometimes you will see that this is also um, this also gets enlarged, but we don't want that, in which case you want to go ahead and select that paragraph and bring this down to 0, like this number over here. You only want it for the first paragraph so that you get this large letter in your case. And what they've done over here is that they've changed it to the color theme. So we're going to go ahead and select the T and select the pastel pink we've selected from before. A little bit more adjusting, so just make sure everything's in line, and then we hit W. So now it looks like a reasonably nice looking page. Only thing that I feel that this is a little bit left on top. So to select a lot of frames together, you just want to click and drag until you see a square. So now everything gets selected, and then you want to move this down a little bit because that bridges the gap a little. This is a nice looking text part of the page. So if you want to like add like a shape on above because that looks empty, you can go ahead and do that. And actually I was going to add it on this side like they have in this page. We're going to do both of them, and let's see if we can actually replicate it a little more. So we go ahead and click the rectangle tool from before. So yeah, I wanted to add like a small ribbon kind of thing over here. So let's say we add that there, and yeah, it looks pretty good. So now one thing to know about the rectangle tool or any other shape you're working with is that it has a small border, right? It has that black border, if you can notice carefully. Now to remove this black border, all you have to do is go up here in the shape formatting and remove that by pressing down the down. So now I've removed it to 0. So that's why it looks like that, and that's why it looks a lot cleaner. Now if you want to add a little more jazz to it, you can probably add a line in white. For the line, you want to increase the thickness because that's what lines are, right? So we go ahead and make it white. So this is what you touch for adding the border color, and that's what you add for the fill color. So right now, lines usually operate on that. It's again up to the designer. I'm just showing you things. So if you like this, if you want to replicate it on the next page, all you have to do is click V and copy uh, this the segment you've created. So Control C and V, and maybe just move it on over to this page. So now we have kind of like a theme for this entire page going on. It looks decent. If you want to move and add 2 lines, or change the way the lines are added, or if you want to move this to the bottom of the page, or maybe it looks much better if it's just on this page. Again, it's all experimental, again up to the designer, but this is how you make things look better. Now we're gonna try and add an image on this side of the page. So again, we're gonna hit F to create a frame. Okay, so thanks for listening to this 20-minute long video. I know I might have been a little bit boring, but thanks for putting up with me. Now we're gonna go and create a minimalist design. So stay tuned for the next one, and thanks for watching.